In a faraway land where trees whisper secrets and rivers hum sweet songs, there lies a magical place called the Valley of Echoes, a land full of music, laughter, and the kind of magic that sings quietly in your heart. But when the valley's most precious treasure, a glowing emerald ring, mysteriously disappears, everything begins to change. The songs fade, the echoes fall silent, and strange shadows creep in from the woods. To save the valley, 3 unlikely friends must set out on a quest full of riddles, trolls, singing mountains, and surprises at every turn. Lyra, a clever elf girl who can speak to trees. Thornin, a strong and grumbly dwarf with a heart of gold and a backpack that holds everything. And Pipkin, a tiny mossfoot who's never been on an adventure before, but who might be the bravest of them all. Over 10 magical chapters, you'll travel with them through glowing forests, meet a talking map who won't stop singing, outwit trickster trolls, and face shadows made of silence. And at the very heart of the story, you'll discover that true bravery doesn't come from being big or bold, it comes from standing up when it matters most. So turn the page, follow the footprints, and step into a world of wonder. The Valley of Echoes is waiting, and this time, it remembers your name. Long ago, but not too long, in a valley, where rivers hummed and trees whispered secrets only elves could hear, something important went missing. It was a ring. Not just any ring, an emerald ring that had glowed on its stone pedestal for as long as anyone could remember. It didn't grant wishes. It didn't shoot fire, but it kept the Valley of Echoes alive. Without it, the songs of the birds grew quiet. The breeze lost its tune. Even the frogs started croaking off-key. One morning, the ring simply vanished. Lyra was the first to notice. She was no ordinary elf. She could speak to trees, though they mostly told her boring things like, "It's going to rain," or "Squirrel again." But that morning, the trees were silent, nervous. She touched the pedestal. "The ring's gone," she whispered, even though she already knew. A deep voice grunted behind her. "You're sure you didn't just misplace it?" That was Thornin, grumbly, bearded, and carrying a backpack so full it squeaked when he walked. He never believed anything without inspecting it 3 times. "I didn't misplace a magical ring the size of your thumb, Thornin," Lyra said. "It's gone, stolen." Thornin scratched his beard. Figures was having a nice quiet morning too. Just then, something tumbled out from behind a bush with a yeep and landed in a heap. It was Pipkin, a mossfoot, about the size of a pumpkin. Round ears, mossy feet, and a mushroom cap that drooped over one eye. "Did someone say stolen?" he asked, springing upright. "Because I just saw a shadowy something dash into the woods. It was fast and sneaky and smelled like soup." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Soup? Definitely leek," said Pipkin with a sniff. "I have a very sensitive nose." Thornin sighed. "And now we're chasing soup-smelling thieves? Wonderful." But Lyra was already slinging her satchel over her shoulder. "Whoever took the ring is heading into the woods," she said. "If the ring's not returned, the valley goes silent forever." Pipkin's eyes widened. "Silent? Like, no echo when I shout into a cave?" "Worse," said Thornin. "No stories, no songs, just quiet." There was a long pause. Pipkin gulped. Then he puffed out his tiny chest and squeaked, "Then we'd better go find that soup thief." Lyra smiled. Thornin groaned. And just like that, their very big quest began. The woods were thicker than Pipkin had imagined. Twisting branches reached overhead like bony fingers. Mushrooms blinked at them as they passed. Somewhere in the distance, a tree chuckled. "Don't be nervous," Lyra said as Pipkin stepped over a knotted root for the 7th time. "These woods are old, but not dangerous." "That's what my Uncle Dobbin said before getting stuck in a snail race," Pipkin mumbled. "Did he win?" Thornin asked. "Number. The snail did." They came to a halt at the foot of a great tree. Not just any tree. This one had leaves that shimmered and hummed. Music danced through the branches. Its roots twisted and turned like sleeping snakes. And at the center of it all, a spiral of bark with carvings glowing faintly. "The singing oak," Lyra whispered. "The first clue must be here." As if on cue, a voice creaked from the tree itself. 3 feet walk, but only 2 talk. Solve my riddle, or go back and squawk. Pipkin jumped. Did the tree just insult me? It's just the oak's way, Lyra said calmly, studying the roots. It speaks in riddles. Thornin squinted. 3 feet, 2 talk. Wait, Pipkin squeaked. That's us. I mean, look, Lyra and Thornin talk. And I have little feet, but maybe I don't count. Or maybe I'm the 3rd foot? They stared at him. I'm bad at riddles, he admitted. But Lyra was smiling. No, you're close. It's describing us. Together, we're 3 travelers, but only 2 have voices the tree understands. You and I, she nodded to Thornin. The tree doesn't hear Mossfoots. Pipkin looked hurt. But it will, she added gently. By the end of this journey, it definitely will. The tree groaned again, but this time, the bark twisted, and one of its roots slid aside to reveal a glowing stone. Etched into it was a map. But not just any map. As soon as Lyra touched it, the map spoke. Hello, it boomed. My name is Jeffrey. I talk, I rhyme, and I'll lead you through forests full of grime. Thornin groaned. Oh, please, no! Jeffrey the talking map flapped open in the air, spinning slowly and singing. To find the ring and save the day, you'll climb the hills and lose your way. But if you trust your mossy friend, Pipkin gasped. That's me! You'll reach the quest's most twisty end. There was a pause. Did it just rhyme about Pipkin? Thornin said. It did, Pipkin cheered. I'm in a prophecy. Jeffrey sang louder. Onward, tiny heroes! And just like that, the map zipped off into the trees, leaving the 3 of them to chase after it through the tangled woods, with Pipkin shouting, Wait! I don't have very long legs. The trail led upward, very upward. Jeffrey, the talking map, zipped and twirled ahead, shouting things like, Watch your step, and Wee, which wasn't helpful when the path turned steep and the rocks started to sing. Yes, sing. Each stone they stepped on gave off a sound, a note, a hum, a soft plink. At first, it was charming. Then Thornin tripped and landed on a chord that sounded exactly like a goat sneezing. Oh, wonderful, he muttered. Musical stairs. Actually, Lyra said, listening, this is the edge of the Singing Mountains. The path wound between tall cliffs that echoed every sound. Wind carried melodies through the air, and the glowing trail on Jeffrey's map pointed straight up. This place is amazing, Pipkin cried, hopping from step to step. Every time I jump plink plonk plunk, it's like I'm a walking harp. Behind him, Thornin's pack clanked like a marching kitchen. You're a walking headache, Thornin grumbled. Suddenly, the music shifted. The notes changed. The wind stopped. The entire mountain held its breath. Then came a sound that didn't fit at all, a deep, rumbling laugh. But it wasn't Thornin. They weren't alone. Out from behind a glittering boulder stepped a creature not huge, but very round, with stubby arms and a long scarf covered in bells. Travelers, it said in a high musical voice. You've played the Song of Steps. That means you owe me a dance. What? Said Thornin. Who? Said Pipkin. Why? Said Lyra. But before anyone could argue, the round creature clapped twice, and the mountain lit up with colorful light. Mushroom drums grew out of the rocks. Vines strummed themselves like guitars. The stones beneath their feet bounced lightly in rhythm. The creature spun. I'm the Jiggle Sprite of the Echo Pass, and nobody climbs the mountain without a little jig. Pipkin stared. Do we really have to? The stone under his foot bounced. Then again. And before he could say help, he was dancing. My legs are moving on their own. Thornin clutched a nearby root. I don't jig. But the mountain thought otherwise. His boots began tapping. His beard started swinging side to side. And Jeffrey floated by cheerily singing, everyone jig, or fall in a pit. Just follow the rhythm, don't trip, don't trip. Lyra, thankfully, had some grace. She spun in a circle, arms out, laughing. Let it happen, Thornin. It's the mountain's magic, it tests our trust. I trust that this is nonsense, he barked, while breakdancing. The dance lasted exactly 1 minute and 23 seconds. Then the lights faded, the music stopped, and the jiggle sprite bowed. Thank you for your moves, he said with a grin. Your path continues, and so does your groove. And then, poof, he vanished in a puff of glitter. Silence returned. Jeffrey cleared his throat. Well, that was new. Ready for the next leg? Pipkin gasped for breath, falling over. If I ever jiggle again, it better be near a snack table. Lyra chuckled. You did fine. Thornin sat down. My knees are suing me. But ahead, the mountain path sparkled and the next part of their journey waited. They reached the valley floor by noon, muddy and out of breath. Jeffrey floated slowly now, claiming he was conserving energy for dramatic reveals. Thornin suggested turning him into a napkin, but everyone stopped when they saw the bridge. It arched high and mossy over a bubbling stream. The stones were cracked, the moss was thick, and a sign hung crookedly from the side. Cross only if you're clever. Pipkin frowned. What if you're just moderately clever? Thornin squinted. What if you're hungry and have no patience? Jeffrey zipped backward and said with a dramatic whisper, Beware the trickster trolls. Almost instantly, a chorus of voices called up from below. Dun dun dun. Pipkin yelped and clutched Lyra's leg. 3 very odd-looking trolls popped their heads out from under the bridge. One wore socks as gloves. One had tiny spectacles on a very large nose. And the last wore a teacup as a helmet. Travelers, barked the biggest one. You want to cross? You solve our riddle. No riddle, Thornin grunted, stepping forward. Just let us pass. Zap! The bridge suddenly stretched like warm cheese, growing longer and longer with each step. Now it's even farther, Pipkin cried. The troll with the teacup laughed. Ah, but every wrong answer makes it longer. Every right one, shorter. Thornin turned slowly to Lyra. I swear, this valley was not like this 10 years ago. Lyra smiled calmly. Then we'll just solve the riddle. The troll cleared his throat. You can see it in the dark. It follows you but makes no sound. What is it? Pipkin gasped. Is it a ghost squirrel? Thornin facepalmed. No, Lyra said gently. It's your shadow. The trolls groaned. Clever elf, muttered one. The bridge shrank back to its normal size. One riddle down, said the troll with socks on his hands. But we've got another. This one was tougher, and the one after that was even worse. Pipkin guessed cheese for every answer, which was never right, but somehow made the trolls laugh so hard that they shrank the bridge anyway. Finally, after 5 riddles, 6 bridge stretches, 1 troll dance, and a very loud sneeze from Thornin that knocked off Teacup Troll's hat, they crossed the bridge. Well done, said the trolls. You may now pass without turning into goats. Pipkin paused. Wait, that was an option? They didn't wait to find out. As they hurried away, Jeffrey twirled back into their path. You know, he said, I was worried you'd fail, but I shouldn't have doubted you. Thornin groaned. I'm adding you to the riddle list. They laughed. Even Pipkin, though he still kept glancing back at the trolls, just in case one of them had a leftover goat spell in their pocket. By the time the riddles were behind them, Pipkin had discovered 3 things. Trolls are excellent dancers. Thornin could sneeze loud enough to scare birds out of their nests. And most importantly, Jeffrey the talking map would not stop talking. I've created a song about your progress. Jeffrey chirped, floating backward as the group trudged through a fern-covered glade. "It's called 3 Brave Beans on the Way to the Ring." "Oh no," Thornton muttered. "Oh yes," Jeffrey sang. "They danced on stairs, they crossed a bridge, they met some trolls who lived in a fridge." "We did not meet fridge trolls," Thornton snapped. "Artistic license," said Jeffrey. Lyra smiled and let the map ramble on. After all, it kept spirits up. Mostly. Pipkin didn't mind either. He was more focused on the forest path, or rather, the lack of it. He said. Shouldn't there be a trail? He was right. The trees had thickened. The glowing path on the map flickered uncertainly. Even Jeffrey looked confused, which was alarming for a talking map. "Where are we?" Lyra asked. Jeffrey spun twice and squinted at himself. "We're either near the Whispering Waterfall or the Pit of Pouting Badgers." "Both sound slippery," Pipkin squeaked. That's when a new sound joined them. A hum, soft and musical, coming from the trees. The group followed it until the woods opened into a clearing filled with glowing mushrooms, tall, round, and softly blinking like fireflies. "It's beautiful," whispered Pipkin. The mushrooms blinked in reply. Then something else happened. The ground beneath Pipkin's feet glowed and a footprint appeared, not his. "Guys," he said, "I think we're being led. Or followed," Thornton muttered, gripping his axe. "No," Lyra said softly, crouching beside the footprint. "These are the same prints I saw near the pedestal. Whoever took the ring passed through here." As she spoke, more footprints appeared, glowing faintly, stretching into the deeper woods. Jeffrey floated close and spoke in a quieter voice. "These aren't regular footprints. These were left by someone using echo magic." Pipkin blinked. "Echo what? Now?" "Echo magic," Lyra said, rising. "It leaves traces not in dust but in memory. It fades if not followed." "Then let's follow it," Pipkin said, puffing his chest. "Fast! Before the trail disappears!" They looked at him in surprise. "What?" he said. "I can be brave and squeaky." And so, with the mushrooms lighting their way and the talking map humming a slightly quieter song, they stepped into the glowing forest, chasing footprints made of memory, unaware of what or who waited ahead. The footprints led them to a hollow so quiet, even Jeffrey stopped singing, which was the first sign that something strange was about to happen. The second sign? A glowing pool of water sitting perfectly still. Not a ripple, not a breeze. Just light, soft teal and silver shimmering from beneath the surface. "Is it safe?" Pipkin whispered. "Nope," Thornton said instantly. "Yes," Lyra answered at the same time. Pipkin gulped. The water suddenly rippled. Something was rising. First vines, then water flowing in reverse, as if the pool was building a shape from the liquid itself. A shape with eyes, and arms, and a voice like wind in the trees. "Who seeks the ring?" the creature said, its voice echoing in their chests. I mean we," Pipkin stammered. "We're not here to steal it. We're trying to put it back." The guardian tilted its shimmering head. "You are small." Pipkin looked down at himself. "I know. You are frightened." He looked up again. "Also true. But still, you stepped forward when others did not." Pipkin blinked. Was that a compliment? The guardian slowly floated toward them, its watery body swirling and glowing. "The ring does not belong to the greedy, but to the true of heart." Thornton leaned to Lyra. "We're still talking about this guy, right?" Lyra nodded. "Apparently." "I heard that!" Pipkin snapped, which made the guardian chuckle, a sound like raindrops dancing on stone. "The one who returns the ring must be the one who feels its absence," the guardian said. Pipkin's brow furrowed. "I do! I miss the birds singing. I miss the frogs croaking in tune. I even miss my echo when I shout into the trees." "Then the path will open," said the guardian. Suddenly, a swirl of silver light spiraled from the pool and carved a glowing door in the vines ahead. The light formed a symbol, a tiny foot inside a ring. "Oh, come on," Thornton muttered. "He gets his own symbol now?" Jeffrey gasped. "You've been chosen, Pipkin!" "I have? You have?" Pipkin stood a little taller. He didn't really understand how echo magic worked, or what being true of heart meant exactly. But he liked the sound of it. And as the path opened, and the guardian sank back into the still pool, Pipkin walked forward. The others followed, but a little behind now, as if they were letting him lead. Just for a while, the glowing trail curved into a darker part of the forest. The trees stood closer together here, like they were eavesdropping. Even Jeffrey spoke in a whisper now. "I don't like it," Thornton grumbled. "Too quiet, too still, too whispery." "Whispery?" Pipkin asked. "Exactly." Lyra slowed her steps. "I feel it too. Something's watching." They stopped. The path had ended, not in a clearing, not at a cliff, just ended. In silence. No birds, no wind, not even the buzzing mushrooms from before. And then came the whisper. Not words, not language, just a sound that tickled their ears and made their backs shiver. Pipkin spun. "Did anyone else hear?" "Shh." The sound grew louder, and something moved between the trees. It wasn't one thing. It was many things. Shadows, crawling, stretching, rising from the ground like black fog with claws. "What are they?" Pipkin whispered. "Lost echoes," Lyra said, drawing a glowing rune in the air. Memories twisted into fear. "They don't look friendly," Thornton said, already pulling his axe. The shadows crept closer. Eyes blinked in the darkness. One of them growled a sound like tearing cloth. Jeffrey tried to float upward but froze. "Oh no! No, no, no! Not them! Not the Silence Wolves!" Pipkin's voice cracked. "The what?" "They eat sound," Jeffrey whimpered. "They'll silence the valley forever if the ring isn't returned." The largest shadow stepped into the open. It had no face, only a long, curling mouth where sound disappeared like steam. Lyra whispered. "We can't fight them, not with weapons. They're made of silence." Pipkin took a step forward. "But maybe we can fight them with noise." "What kind of noise?" Thornton asked. "I don't know," Pipkin said, his voice rising. "A song, a shout, a really good sneeze." The shadows crept closer. And then Pipkin did something no one expected. He stomped his mossy foot and shouted, "Hey!" The shadow flinched. He shouted again, "Hey, over here!" He cupped his tiny hands around his mouth and bellowed, "Echo!" The word bounced back through the trees. Echo, echo, echo. The Silence Wolves recoiled, twisting away from the sound like smoke and wind. Pipkin kept going, yelling every word he could think of. Butterfly, pancakes, muffins, cheese. Lyra laughed and joined in. Valley, light, home. Thornton snorted, then roared loud enough to rattle branches. Ring. The forest exploded with sound, real, powerful, beautiful sound. And the shadows scattered, melting into the air, chased off by the very thing they feared. Pipkin stood there panting, a little wobbly, eyes wide. "I did that?" he said. "You did," Lyra said, beaming. Thornton clapped a heavy hand on Pipkin's shoulder. "You've got a loud mouth, Mossfoot. Never been more proud." Jeffrey sniffled. "I'm going to write a power ballad about this moment." They had won not with magic, not with strength, but with the courage to speak up. Even if the words were cheese, the silence was gone. In its place, the forest buzzed with life, not loud, but alive. Birds chirped, wind rustled the trees. Even the mushrooms blinked more cheerfully. Jeffrey soared ahead. Only one step left, one final climb. The ring is near, and the valley waits. They followed a narrow path that curved upward through twisted trees. The trail shimmered under their feet, like it knew where they were going. "I'm still not over the silence wolves," Pipkin said. "They're gone," Lyra replied. "You chased them off." I yelled food names at ghosts. "You're very powerful," Thornin muttered dryly. At the top of the path stood a circle of ancient stones, tall, carved, and humming faintly. In the center, sitting on a pedestal shaped like an open hand, was the emerald ring. It glowed, even in daylight, but its light flickered like a candle about to go out. Pipkin stepped forward, awe in his eyes. But a voice cut through the quiet. "That ring belongs to me." From behind a stone stepped a figure cloaked in shadow, not a creature, but a person, a man, a forgotten guardian, once part of the valley, now twisted by envy and silence. His eyes were hollow, and his cloak flickered like smoke. "You don't understand its power," the man rasped. "It listens, it remembers, it echoes what it's given. But no one ever listened to me, not until I took it." Lyra stepped in front of Pipkin. "You stole it. That's not listening, that's silencing." The man's fingers twitched. "I just wanted quiet. I wanted everything to stop. All the noise, all the voices." Pipkin swallowed hard. "But silence isn't peace. It's just alone." The man flinched, and then Pipkin, the tiniest of the three, did something unexpected. He took the ring off the pedestal and held it out. "Take it," he said, "if you really want to be alone. But I don't think you do." The man stared at the glowing ring. Its light flickered across his face. Then slowly, his hands dropped. He stepped back and vanished. No wind, no flash, just gone, like a shadow when the sun rises. Pipkin looked down at the ring in his paws. It pulsed once, like a heartbeat. "Time to go home," he said. No one argued. They had the ring. The valley was waiting. And this time it would sing again. The path home felt different. Not shorter, not longer, just lighter. As if the forest itself was exhaling for the first time in days. The ring nestled safely in Pipkin's acorn satchel, glowing softly through the seams. "You sure you want to do this?" Thornin asked as they approached the sacred stone. "We could build a replica, trick the forest, take the real one to a museum." "Thornin," Lyra warned. He grunted. "Fine, worth a try." They stepped into the clearing where it had all started, the pedestal in the center, carved with ancient markings, now dull and silent, except for Pipkin's footsteps. He walked ahead slowly, pulling the emerald ring from his satchel. It floated slightly in his hands, as if eager to return. "You got this," Lyra said gently. "I know," Pipkin replied, almost surprising himself. The forest held its breath. Pipkin climbed up the roots, stood tall on tiptoes, and carefully placed the ring back on the pedestal. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then, light green and gold burst from the stone and raced outward like a wave. Trees shimmered, flowers bloomed in spirals, rivers sparkled, and sound glorious. Wonderful sound filled the valley again. Birds, frogs, wind, laughter, even the rocks hummed. The Valley of Echoes had returned. Pipkin wobbled backward and sat down hard in the moss. "I did it," he whispered. Then louder, "I did it." "You certainly did," Lyra said, helping him up. "You didn't even fall over," Thornin added, trying to sound gruff but smiling all the same. Jeffrey, who had been floating in quiet awe, suddenly burst into song. He faced the dark with heart so grand, with mossy foot and trembling hand. The ring restored, the tale complete. "Let's get this hero something sweet." Pipkin blinked. "Do I get snacks now?" "You get more than that," Lyra said. "You get stories," Thornin added. "Forever." And in that moment, Pipkin realized bravery wasn't loud. It wasn't about swords or shouting or being the tallest one in the room. It was about standing up, even when your legs shook, especially when your voice cracked. It was about doing the right thing, even when you were scared out of your fur. The next morning, the sun rose brighter than it had in weeks. Light danced through the trees. Birds chirped in rhythm. The river hummed a tune that made squirrels tap their tails. The Valley of Echoes was fully alive again, because the ring had been returned. But more than that, because someone brave enough to return, it had stepped forward. Lyra, Thornin, and Pipkin stood on a mossy hilltop overlooking it all. Flowers bloomed in winding paths. Deer with glowing antlers pranced below. Even the air sounded happier. "Well," Thornin said, adjusting his enormous backpack, "that was a lot of trouble for a little ring." "It wasn't just a ring," Lyra replied. "It was the valley's voice." Pipkin beamed. "And now it's singing again." From his satchel, Jeffrey the map poked out, humming gently. "Would now be a good time for a victory song?" "No," Thornin and Lyra said together. "Yes," Pipkin said at the same time. So Jeffrey sang, and this time, everyone led him. They spent the rest of the day walking the paths they'd once stumbled through, now vibrant and welcoming. The singing mountains played softer melodies. The trolls under the bridge shouted compliments instead of riddles. Even the mushrooms blinked in applause as Pipkin passed. By evening, the three friends sat around a fire under a sky full of stars. "So what happens now?" Pipkin asked, nibbling on a toasted nut cake. Lyra smiled. "Now the valley remembers." "Remembers what?" "That once, when everything was fading, the smallest hero stood the tallest." Thornin raised a mug of root fizz. "To Pipkin the brave." Pipkin blushed furiously. "Oh, Ewell, I mean, maybe just Pipkin?" "Nope," said Lyra. "It's official. You're in the songs now." "And the maps," Jeffrey added. "And the tea towels. I've already designed a commemorative collection." They laughed under the stars, music floating gently around them. The valley would echo their story for generations. And somewhere in the quiet, a tiny mossfoot whispered to himself, "I'm going to need a much bigger backpack." The end.